Why am I hated for saying people must unite? For saying, let's come to, I'm not saying let's divide. I'm saying let's unite. Instead of being called a unifier, who seeks to unify humanity, not only in Africa, in the whole world. No, why do you bring these people? Oh, these people are going to do this, these people are going to do that. Why? Since when is a unifier the enemy of the people and the enemy of peace-loving South Africans, people who advocate for prosperity, for international solidarity with the downtrodden? Why do you now characterize me in a manner you characterize me? It is not my people who say the things that you are saying about me in relation to this question. It is those who enjoy out of the division of our people. They know that the unity of Africa is going to rescue the minerals they've been stealing in DRC and making Eastern DRC look like it's Rwanda and those people don't deserve to be there. But if there is no border of Rwanda and DRC, who will say these ones are there? There's a conflict there which can only be resolved by collapse of borders, where people no longer see others as coming from the other side. That is unity. We're not collapsing borders for criminality. So when I said creative ways, I simply said, this is your home. No one can stop you. The same way, these ones who are in government who are talking nonsense today, they found the creative way to enter these countries. They didn't go there with an aeroplane. They didn't go with a passport. They all found creative ways. And it goes for all of them. There's no single one of them who has been there outside and who can say, I've been outside because I was on a church trip to Mozambique. No. Including many others. I mean, Paul Mashatile, was not in exile, but he has been in and out of the country. He has been to the camps to get briefing from leadership, do this, come back. Castle Matale left the country through creative means, Deputy Minister of Police, through creative means. And then when he arrived in a camp of the PAC and he was looking for the ANC. He couldn't understand the language. And as he was speaking, those people were saying, but you sound more ANC than what we're doing. He said, yeah, but I was looking for the ANC. They sent him back to South Africa. He didn't go with a passport. So what are you talking about? But that didn't make him to go and settle there.
It sounds like you're almost going to say the only one that didn't go to the camps was Cyril. The only one that didn't go.
He went. Cyril went to the camp, but with an aeroplane and passport.
Okay.
Yes. It was after those things of release of Mandela. Remember Mandela, when he came out, he also visited some camps. And so Cyril went under those. He didn't go through the means.
Creative means.
The whites took him there.
Okay. Closing shot on Cyril Ramaphosa. South Africa is in a crisis. The Takatso deal has collapsed. SAA was sold for the open border system. Perhaps to your lamentation, you've said foreigners who then find themselves out of the country must find creative ways to come back into South Africa. I don't know if you've had rethoughts about those sentiments. And then, of course, the final question would be, such as the girls and the boys, as you say. Has the EFF reconsidered its approach on the open border system?
We are not far from President Zuma on the foreign policy. There's a talk here of illegal immigrants, and I think his emphasis is on that. But he is not the kind who can say Africans must not come into South Africa because we are one continent, and he advocated for that himself. He stayed in Zimbabwe, he stayed in Swaziland, he stayed in Mozambique, he was in Lusaka and everywhere else, including Angola, if I'm not wrong. So he's the last person. If anything, he's the one who should be advocating for this because he practically and personally benefited out of the hospitality of Africans. And there's no way, everybody understands the EFF argument. Do you know that Venda was a republic? Leboa was a republic. Uputatswana was a republic. And KwaZulu-Natal and all of that.
Those were the
including
Bantustans,
Seskans.
yes.
Yeah, Bantustans. You needed a passport to go to Venda. We collapsed the borders in Venda and said, no more, we are one thing, we are one South Africa, because we're always made to imagine us being different people, the same way they make us believe now. After the collapse of vendors, of the border, we never experienced the influx of vendors into Johannesburg. The people of Bembe are still there. You will find them. It's not an abandoned land because they saw greener pastures in Johannesburg. They said, we're no longer staying here, we're going to Johannesburg. What these people are saying is a swargefar. It is threatening, intimidating as South Africans that you are actually going to have more in your yard if these people are going to come here, which is practically impossible. Why would the people of Mozambique leave Mozambique? Because they are doing relatively well. Why would the people of Swaziland? And you know what is even worse is that the Swaziland people would have left without Malema because there's nothing there, nothing fiscal that can prevent them. The same thing with Lesotho. The people of Lesotho, it's Friday today. Tomorrow, if you go at the border of Lesotho and South Africa, there's no fence. They come drink this side during the day, at night go back. There are others in Lesotho who are now receiving SASA in South Africa.
I lived in Botswana many years.
Yes.
You'd go to a funeral in South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, the funeral would be here, but you'd be eating in the Botswana side.
Yes.
You just cross.
Yes.
Khomo is in the side of Botswana. The borders don't seem to exist.
Yes.
But are you not advocating for illegality with that statement? They must find creative ways to come into South Africa. What are creative ways? Crossing the river. Surely there must be a type of border, not a colonial system, but a type of referendum to say, do you have the necessary papers for the instances of planning? Because the women will be here, they need to take the kids to hospital, for schools, you know, for urban planning and development. There needs to be a quantity of how many people require medication in Joburg. If government doesn't have that plan, it's going to be a disaster. Do you regret those comments?
No. Why don't you require documents to go to KwaZulu-Natal and you're coming from here and you have nothing there in KwaZulu-Natal and then you are going to collapse and get sick in KwaZulu-Natal and affect their budget? Why is that not a requirement? What is different between you and these people who are there? Why can't we develop a policy that says if we're to treat a Lesotho citizen in South Africa, so Swaziland or Nigeria, once confirmed that this is a citizen of this particular country, these are the credentials, we treat this person and then we invoice their country. Why should we have a hospital and then be worried that sick people are going to be sick and influx our hospital? Don't be worried about influx. You must be worried with healing people so that you save humanity. And the only way you can heal people is when you've got your own planning, but you know that in case other people come from outside, you always provide an invoice to those countries that they come from. That has been African planning, by the way. Those things you are saying is eurocentric planning. You are talking about a funeral and a cow. You plan for 100 people, 700 people comes, and you never say, this is not part of me. No, you always know.
You're saying there's no RSVP, Kaspi.
No, we embrace each other. We don't need invitation from each other. The Europeans are doing it. The people who are advocating for us not to do it, there is no border in Europe. You wake up in Milan and then you go and eat breakfast in Paris and have your lunch in Germany. With ease, without any paper, without talking to anyone. My brother, you're sitting here, you've got an idea, these people are not listening to you. Wake up one morning, get into a car, go and make that presentation in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique, in Angola. without knowing their language, but with a brilliant idea. Before you know it, you are a citizen there. You're working there, they embrace you. So the poor do not have the necessary means actually to can even leave their countries to come here. Most of the people you see here is the people who had the means to come here. But worse, because we're going to Easter, and I've got a property just next to N1 to Zimbabwe. I can't get out of my property with these people going back home. These are the people who you say they influx to our country. They are not here to stay. They are here to make the means, and they go back to their homes. They are never here to stay. They are never here to occupy your land. They are never here to take away from you.
One argument says when the Malawans and the Zimbabweans go back home, who is going to work here? Because there will be no staffing in Gauteng, right? The restaurants, the hotels are all foreign HR. Those are the foreign hands that we use. The counter argument is that it will be empty because these people come and work. Many of them do work that South Africans don't necessarily want to do. Are you in line with that argument? That
no.
That foreigners are not stealing jobs in South Africa?
No. The argument that when they leave our restaurants on people and all of that, it's not entirely correct, because they are hired by restaurants with an intention to pay very minimum wages, and they don't want to spend on workers. So if they leave tomorrow and South Africans who are interested to go and work, they will go and work. The problem is going to be for the bosses, because South Africans are not going to accept a minimum wage. They will want wages that speak to their lifestyle, that speaks to their living conditions and qualifications. So bosses don't want to pay. The problem is not Zimbabweans. They don't hire themselves in the restaurants. They don't hire themselves in our houses. Most of these domestic workers are from Lesotho. It doesn't mean South Africans can't do that. But the South Africans are going to demand a certain amount of money, and people are reluctant to pay. I've got a restaurant, I've got a farm, I've got a butcher in a township. You will not find a single foreigner, because I've not, the skills I've been looking for, right? When I looked for those skills in South Africa, there was no way I couldn't find them. So I found those skills in South Africa, and therefore there was no need for me to go outside. If I had looked for a skill and I didn't find, there was absolutely nothing wrong with me to go outside and get the people with the skill to come and work here.